Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. In fact, this show is titled A Year of Opportunity. So if you've been looking at my website, you would know that this, StarbornInstitute.org, you would know that this show is covering all of the new moons and the eclipses for 2024, month by month. And so this is a year of opportunity for everyone, I'm happy to say. And you could have more than one good opportunity, because partnership is very well favored, since there are 2 eclipses in Libra, which does rule partnership. And also, this is a time when your opportunity at times could require greater sacrifice or higher costs than you had anticipated. So it's a good idea to have a little something tucked under the mattress, or have an extra piggy bank or a savings account, because you could need it at certain times during the year when the sacrifice needs to be made, or there simply are higher costs that you have to meet. But that would be all right, because this is a year of opportunity, and of course we would all want to take advantage of that. So what does this mean in the month of January? Well, in January, on January 13th, on January 11th, there's a new moon at 21 degrees of Capricorn. It's the first of 2 new moons in Capricorn this year, one at the start of the year and another at the end of the year on December 30th. And so this is a time when January is a very serious month. And it's such a serious month that I'm going to be changing the schedule of how I do these big prediction shows at the start of every year. Today, of course, we're doing the monthly predictions for the year. But next week is when the new moon in Capricorn hits, and it's such a serious one that we are going to do a show about the new moon next week. And then on January 17th, a week later, I will be doing the sun sign predictions for all of 2024. It's just to let you know how things are going to be going. And that is because January is such a serious month. And that is because the sun, the new moon, the sun, new moon, and Mars and Pluto are all in Capricorn, and they're trining Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. I mean, there's 6 planets in Earth signs, but the problem is that Mars is exalted in Capricorn. It's stronger than the sun and the moon, because nothing beats an exalted planet. And the problem is that Mars is going to be coming up really close to Pluto, and Capricorn rules your 10th house of career and your public reputation. And so this is a time when grim reality faces everybody. And you just are going to have to face some matter. It could be a business matter, or a career matter, or a retirement matter that represents grim reality. And that is because Capricorn also represents large corporations, government agencies, and institutions, and their budgets will be slashed. And that means some careers could end. And it also means that that something may not work out well, because jobs could be in short supply because of rising debt. It might be rising corporate debt. Maybe they just can't afford to hire as many new employees as before. But that's a big problem, and that's why we're going to do all of next week's show on that new moon in Capricorn coming up. What does it mean in February? Well, in February, on February 13th, there is a new moon at 21 degrees of Aquarius. And there are going to be a lot of planets in Aquarius, which is good, because that emphasizes the future. And that's what we can all be looking forward to. Also, Aquarius trines a sign of Libra, which emphasizes partnership, and it also trines the sign of Gemini. And in 2024, 2 major planets change signs. One of them is that Pluto moves out of Capricorn and into Aquarius, and the other is that, and that's happening right now at the start of the year, and then by June, Jupiter leaves Taurus and it enters Gemini. And then the time when Pluto in Aquarius is trining Jupiter in Gemini, there are going to be a lot of people around that want to do fun things, and this will be particularly true in the last half of the year. And so that's very good for young people, which is what Gemini rules, and it's also very good for people who are young at heart at any age. So you might be surprising yourself by doing things this summer in particular that you did when you were younger, when you were in your childhood, and that could just be an awful lot of fun. There could also be a lot of weddings in June as Jupiter goes into Gemini, and it does favor youth and all kinds of youth projects, which is good. So this is the new moon in February emphasizes the future, but there's still going to be business problems because the sun, the new moon, and Mars has moved into Aquarius by then, and I think Mercury is there as well, but they will be squaring Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. And so things could cost a little bit more. Remember, all year long, if you're looking at a good opportunity, there are times when you are going to have to make a sacrifice, or it's just simply going to cost more for you to do that. And particularly in February, because there are no retrograde planets in February, which is great, everything's moving forward, it simply means that projects, particularly futuristic or new projects that are already underway, are, they're in the process of development, and so somebody's going to have to pay more money to keep them going. And that could occur under the new moon in Aquarius. Because remember, there's a square to the planets in Taurus, so something's going to get pretty pricey or pretty expensive in February. And I just hope you are able to come up with a little extra money, because you might need it. What does it mean in March? Well, on March 10th, there is a new moon in Pisces, and it's at 20 degrees of Pisces. Isn't that wonderful? And so there can simply be a time when people are concentrating a little bit more on things behind the scenes that they want to do, or it can be a time when there is a possibility of events going on behind the scenes that we may find out about, and that's good. But new moons represent new beginnings, so this could be a time when a long-delayed dream really gets off the ground, because there's a lot of planets in Pisces, 4 of them, the Sun, the Moon, Saturn, and Neptune. But right behind Pisces are 3 more planets in Aquarius. And so they're right behind those 4 planets in Pisces, sort of pushing them along. And one of them is Mars. And so, they've got a lot of support, because by the time of the new moon in March, there are 7 planets in only 2 signs. There's 4 of them in Pisces and another 3 in Aquarius, all very compact and powerful. So you have to understand that, there could be lots of things going on behind the scenes, maybe even new opportunities that you could be hearing about. But there's also the giant possibility of sort of pushing to make a delayed dream come true, because the 3 planets in Aquarius are coming right up behind that new moon in Pisces and sort of pushing it along. It's unusual to have 7 planets in only 2 signs, but that's what's happening in March. And then later on in March, we come into the spring eclipses. And on March 25th, there is a lunar eclipse, and it is at 5 degrees of Libra. But because it's a lunar eclipse and the moon rules women, it simply means one woman goes and another woman comes. It doesn't have to happen at the same time, but it can be over a 6-month period. And so that is certainly possible. And since it is a lunar eclipse in Libra, and Libra does rule partnership, the possibility is that one partner is leaving in some organization that you belong to, for instance, and another one is coming. But there can be resistance to the one that's coming for one reason or another, or maybe just budgets are a little bit small then, and maybe you can't do everything. And so there can be that new person that's coming along, that could take a little while. And that's fine, because there's another eclipse in Libra in the fall, and it's really a good one. So there there could be a new partner coming because one is leaving, but the one that's coming, there's got to be some adjustments to that as well. And then what does it mean in April? Well, in April we have the second of the spring eclipses, and so on April 8th there is a solar eclipse at 20 degrees of Aries, and it is a powerful eclipse. It's a solar eclipse, and that always denotes a new beginning. But April is what I would call a no-no month. And so, don't rush in where angels fear to tread. You'll regret it. Because there are planets setting up that represent that a bubble bursts in April. And that is because there's still, actually what it is that Saturn, Mars, and Neptune are all in Pisces, right behind the solar eclipse in Aries. Okay, and so something behind the scenes, because Pisces rules things that can be hidden, or it can rule covert activities as well. And the problem is that Mars, a malefic planet, along with Saturn, another malefic planet, are in Pisces, but Mars is conjuncting Neptune there in Pisces, right behind the Aries solar eclipse. So yes, a new beginning looks like it's about to arrive. But a new beginning could be the result of the fact that a bubble bursts behind the scenes. And you need to be pretty careful about that. It doesn't need to be your bubble that bursts, but it could be somebody's. As truth comes out about something, and oh boy, there's going to be a change. And in fact, in April, I think April is actually going to be a very dangerous month. So you need to be real careful what you do, and don't rush into anything, even if it is a solar eclipse in Aries. Because I think that in April that an explosion occurs mysteriously, and it's too late to stop it. And that's why you need to be very careful in April. Even with a solar eclipse in Aries, which denotes new beginnings, tread softly and be really careful what you're doing. And you should anticipate change, but you might want to think about how you do it real carefully, because you may be subject to things that are going on in a broader way in the world, and maybe there's going to be a new beginning because of an explosion that occurs mysteriously, and it's too late to stop it. And so that's why you need to be very careful. What does it mean in May? Well, in May is a monster month. I mean, what a difference between April and May. The new moon in May is so fantastic that the whole month of May simply means there's money and more of it. And so it's worth waiting for, certainly, because on May 8th there is a new moon at 18 degrees of Taurus, and that sign is loaded. You couldn't ask for better planets there. There's the sun and the new moon, but the moon is exalted in Taurus. And remember, exalted planets, nothing can beat them. And Taurus rules high-priced real estate, but it also rules investments. And so there's the moon, the sun, the exalted moon, and Venus, the ruler of Taurus, and Jupiter is there at the same time, and Uranus, the planet of sudden surprising change. 5 of those planets are all in Taurus, and you couldn't ask for better ones. And so this is a time in May when things do pay off. If you are wanting to manage your investments, you could do that pretty successfully, or that there could be a very fortunate move, something that you could afford, or if you can't afford it, you should wait a little while. Maybe prices will come down, who knows. But May is a monster month for financial transactions, and not for gambling, but for doing something that results in more money. And so that's good. There could be good investment opportunities then. So congratulations on that, particularly if you're an earth sign, because Virgo and Capricorn are going to be trining that new moon in Taurus. What does it mean in June? Well, in June, the last thing that happens in May, on May 26th is that Jupiter goes into Gemini. Remember, there are 2 planets that change signs this year, major planets. Pluto goes into Aquarius, which is doing right now at the start of the year, and then by June, Jupiter goes into Gemini, but it actually does that on May 26th. So that can make May a good month too, because it's very good for young people. And so in June, on June 6th, there is a new moon at 16 degrees of Gemini. And that sign is loaded as well. I think there's going to be a lot of weddings in June, and they're going to be things that young people are working on that they will be successful at, or they'll be working diligently at that, and they'll be excited about it as well. Also in June, since the Sun, the new moon, Venus, and Jupiter, which have now moved into Gemini by the Gemini new moon, and Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, those 5 planets are all there, and they're going to be trining Pluto in Aquarius. There's going to be 6 planets in air signs by June, and they're all going to be trining Libra. And so I think that young people are going to be real busy. There are going to be a lot of June weddings, and on top of that, people who are simply young at heart of any age are going to have a great summer, and that could be kicking off by the time of June, when they decide to just do things that they enjoyed when they were a kid, and they'll have a lot of fun doing it. So I think people lighten up in June, and that's going to be really great for that. What does it mean in July? Well, in July, on July 5th, there is a new moon at 14 degrees of Cancer. And so it's one day after America's birthday on the 4th of July. So the 14th degree, where the Sun and the new moon will be, are conjuncting America's Sun at 13 degrees. And the moon rules Cancer, so it's very strong there. And so what I think is that by July, America does the right thing. Whatever it's deciding to do, it's going to do the right thing. And so that will be good. And once again, since Cancer rules moving, this is a fortunate time to move and to make an easy transitional change. The whole time that Jupiter is in Gemini, between the summer of 2024 and the summer of 2025, people will have at least 2 really good opportunities to make transitional changes. Because Gemini rules 2 of everything. It also rules temporary or part-time work. So under the new moon in Cancer, America is simply going to really do the right thing in one way or another. And that will be great, because it would benefit a lot of people. And so it might be that they do the right thing for others, even others who are not in this country, but still it could affect them in one way or another. So that is very positive for everybody. And if you are making a move, since Cancer rules moving, July would be a great time to do that as well. So you have a lot of things to look forward to in July. Actually, I think you have a lot of things, good things to look forward to this summer, and that you'll have more than one opportunity. I think you'll have a lot of different opportunities in different ways to make changes. And even if they're temporary or they're transitional, or they're with new partners or doing new things, I think, and particularly if you have the money for it, you're going to be successful, which is great. Okay, what does it mean in August? In August, there is a new moon on August 4th, and it is at 13 degrees of Leo. And so Leo is a fixed sign, and you know, they like to have fun. Leo rules sports, and it rules the entertainment field, it rules acting, it rules love affairs, not marriage, but it rules love affairs, and it rules children, and it rules being an entrepreneur. And so this is a time under that new moon in August when, unfortunately, money that is expected to come to you may not be as much as you think in August. And also, if you're taking a gamble, Leo rules horse racing, a gamble won't pay off as much as you think as much as you expect in August. So I wouldn't bet the farm on in August, because there can be drawbacks. And the reason why is that in August, there's going to be 6 planets in fixed signs squaring each other. The 2 that are in Taurus are going to be squaring 4 more in Leo under that new moon. So the money that you're expecting won't quite be there in August. That doesn't mean you still can't have summer fun and make easy transitional changes, or even have love affairs if you want to. But the money's not going to, whatever you were expecting, you're not going to get as much as you expected. And on top of that, Mars will be in Gemini by then, and that means that young people are going to be working very hard in August. They may be preparing for school and having to catch up with courses that they've missed. And so they are going to be working very hard, and they may be working very hard at 2 different things at the same time. So there's going to be a lot of concentration, heavy concentration, by people who are doing one thing and also have to pay attention to doing something else. And since Mars is in Gemini, which does rule young people, it simply means they're going to be working real hard in August. What does it mean in September? Well, in September, on September, September 8th, there is a new moon at 13 degrees of Virgo. No, 11 degrees of Virgo, I'm sorry. And so Virgo is a modest sign. And so it simply means that if you take small steps in September, you are going to be successful. And, it's not fast success, but as long as you just take one small step after another, you could be very successful, because Virgos are very methodical. They don't like to skip steps. Actually, none of the earth signs like to do that. They like to make sure something gets done right, no matter how long it takes. And so all the earth signs have that trait in common. But small steps will bring you success in September, and so you should try to remember that, because you may not reach your successful goal right away, but that doesn't mean you couldn't reach it in the end. It just means you have to be sort of persistent and hardworking about that. And that is because Jupiter in Gemini is going to be squaring the Virgo new moon. And so still, Jupiter is in Gemini for a whole year, and that simply means that if young people have been working hard in August, and particularly concentrating on 2 different areas, and really having to do that, they could be successful in September. And I think that actually the rewards come in for young people in September, particularly if they just keep going a little bit at a time. So just remember that you don't have to be a ball of fire in order to be successful in September. You just have to sort of keep going, and your hard work in August could pay off in September, which would be great. And then in September we come into the fall eclipses, and the first one is on September 18th, and it is at 26 degrees of Pisces, and it's a lunar eclipse. And so remember, under a lunar eclipse, one woman goes and another woman comes. It doesn't have to be immediate, but it would be sometime in a 6-month period of time. And so that's important. But the thing to remember is that Pisces rules dreams, and it rules our hidden doubts and fears, and it rules limitations, and it rules rising above our problems and trying to go on in life. And so there is a possibility under the lunar eclipse in Pisces in September that a remedy is the answer to a prayer. And when we talk about remedies, we talk about something that implies illness. And so if you had an illness, some remedy could come along that would be an answer to a prayer that could really help you out with that. But a remedy could also be something where you're having a problem on your job, or you're having a problem in a relationship. And whatever, under this lunar eclipse in Pisces, a remedy will be the answer to a prayer. And so don't give up on anything, because something that had been troubling you or had represented a problem in your life could sort of turn around. fortunately, under that lunar eclipse in September in Pisces. So just remember the remedy, some remedy is going to be there, and it's going to sort of save your bacon, or it's going to do something pretty good for you. So just try to look at it that way. What does it mean in October? Well, in October, there is a solar eclipse, and that occurs on October 10th, and it is at 20 degrees of Libra. I could be wrong about that, but believe me, I'll check it all by October. Anyway, this October solar eclipse in Libra is fantastic. This is the second of 2 eclipses in Libra this year, but it's the big one. And so by October, under the Libra solar eclipse, which always denotes a new beginning, any partnership that may have had a sort of a slow start in the spring under the first lunar eclipse in Libra could be getting really well established by October. And in fact, October is all about getting the right person or the right partner in the right place. And that can occur by October for sure. And so that could make a lot of people pretty happy, particularly people that had been waiting in the wings, or if budgets get slashed by large corporations and something doesn't quite go through on time, and even if you have to change partnerships sometime in this year, by October, the right people are going to be able to be in the right place, right? And they'll be the right partner, or they'll be better partners than you had before. And so that's important to remember, that not only partnership, but compromise and truces and diplomacy and art and beauty and decorating, all the things that Libra rules are highlighted under this wonderful solar eclipse in October in Libra. So you have that to look forward to. And that is why I'm urging you not to give up on anything, because that solar eclipse in Libra is being trine by Jupiter in Gemini. Remember that? And Jupiter is a great planet, but it's in a light little sign of Gemini. And so even if the right partner is finally put into the right place, it could be something that involves something that is temporary or part-time, and it would work out just fine. And it would work out fine for you too. So you have that to look forward to. What does it mean in November? Well, on November 1st, there is a new moon at 10 degrees of Scorpio. And there's a grand trine in the water signs, in the healing water signs, under that new moon in Scorpio in November. And so you would think, since the water signs rule our feelings, that all is forgiven. Because there's a grand trine in water signs. People can understand other people's feelings really well and empathize with them in one way or another. So you would assume that under a grand trine like that, that all is forgiven. But it is not. And the reason why is that one of the planets that is in the grand trine in the water signs is Mars. And Mars will, under the new moon in Scorpio, in November, Mars will be at 29 degrees of Cancer. And since Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn later in the fall, Pluto will also be at the 29th degree of fate in Capricorn. And so Mars and Pluto are the rulers of Scorpio, where the new moon is. But Mars is a malefic planet. It's coming up against planet Pluto, which is a planet of deep truth. And so not only is, it looks on the surface like all is forgiven, but that is not true at all. In fact, all is not forgiven. Something is finished. And it's just completely finished. Don't go into November thinking that, oh, gee, everything's going to be fine. Because it isn't. Even though it's a grand trine in the water signs, the healing water signs, it doesn't mean some people can't benefit from that. But in the end, 2 planets at each at the 29th degree of fate in an exact harsh opposition means that not only is not everything forgiven, but something is really finished. And there's going to be no doubt about it. So you have that to look forward to as well. It may not affect you directly, but it's going to happen somewhere. Something is not forgiven. It is finished. Okay, what does it mean in December? Well, on December 1st, at the first of the month, December is unusual because it has 2 new moons in it. And so on December 1st, there is a new moon at 10 degrees of Sagittarius. And I think in December, perhaps in early December, a power play is made, and it could be successful. And by that I mean it would relate to the things that the new moon in Sagittarius represents. Sagittarius represents 4-year colleges and universities, so there could be some good news about that. Or it represents people in foreign countries or large international organizations like the World Bank or the World Court, and it does rule the whole judicial system because Sagittarius is an intellectual sign, and so it rules international law. And at that time, I think that a power play can be successful. So you would I think that it may not affect you directly because it could be something on the broader world stage that finally goes through, or that is really very effective, and it can affect a lot of people, but it would tend to be somewhat positive, which would be good. And then we end the year with a second new moon in December, because on December 30th there is another new moon. It's at 10 degrees of Capricorn, and Capricorn is where we started the year. In fact, we're having a new moon in Capricorn next week that we're going to be talking about. That is a very serious one. But the one that occurs on December 30th would signal the culmination of some sort of career growth that you may have. Remember, Capricorn rules our careers. Or your public reputation could be further enhanced. Or it could be that your retirement plans have been adjusted during the year, and you may be pleased with them by the end of the year. Or if you are thinking of ending one career sometime this year, and if it's even ended for you, because the new moon in Capricorn next week in January can make corporations, government agencies, and institutions face grim reality where budgets will be slashed. And so by December 30th, way at the end of the year, you may be in a new occupation, one you like better. And your reputation could increase and grow. So I think that the 2 new moons in Capricorn, one at the start of the year and then the other one by December 30th at the end of the year, represent a career change or change in your public reputation, but I think that overall it represents growth. It just may take you the whole year. And also because Capricorn is trining Uranus in Taurus, which is a fixed financial sign, it simply means that the money arrives. It might take clear till the end of the year for that to happen, but the money arrives toward you or toward your employer or something like that. And so that money may have been a little delayed or a little bit late, but no later than the Capricorn second new moon on December 30th, the money arrives, and it will be there. And that is what could help you make a new start too, because remember, that is a second new moon in Capricorn at the end of the year. So I think you probably have enough money to move off in a new direction and be able to pay for it, and that would be great. So that's what I mean by the fact that 2024 is a year of opportunity. It doesn't mean that we're all on easy street, because we can be victims of economic problems we can't solve because we didn't make them in the first place, and they could be the rise of debt, which can affect hiring practices. Maybe too many corporations have high debt, and so they can't afford to keep hiring people. So there's an adverse effect there. But overall, I think that you will be facing new opportunities no matter what happens to you this year. And you're also going to be able to make an easy transitional change. And I think at least a minimum of 2. easy transitional changes are possible for you this year. And so they'd be easy to do, and they'd also be delightful. You would really like them. So if you were going to make a move, it would turn out pretty well. If you were thinking of a marriage in June, there could be a lot of those, because that's when Jupiter goes into Gemini and stays for a whole year. And that does affect people in a way that makes all of us feel like we want to get back to the values that we had, that we were raised with when we were children. You know, kids learn a lot, and they don't forget. And so our lives can take different turns and go in different directions. But from the summer of 2024 to the summer of 2025, while Jupiter is in Gemini, and for the most part trining that Pluto in Aquarius, which rules the future, and trining the sign of Libra, where there are 2 eclipses this year, you are just going to have a variety of opportunities. And some of them, once again I caution you, some of them are going to require sacrifice, and they're going to be more costly than you think. But that's the way it is. And so you better have a little extra money around to spend when you need it. But if that is going to help you with a new opportunity, then I think it's going to be worth it. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, you could subscribe to my Karen Campbell YouTube channel, and I'd really appreciate you doing that and telling your friends about that as well. And you can read the blog that accompanies each show on my website, starborninstitute.org. So until then, I'll see you next week, and I hope you have a wonderful year, because you really are going to have some good opportunities. So good luck. Thanks a lot. Bye.